Hey everyone, just the first time I thought I'd try something new, put on some music in the background and I don't know, I always wanted to have like that lobby sort of a thing, have some music for people to listen to, show off the tunes of the Tokyo Digital crew, um, which we have, which was nice. Hope you like that. I just realized as well I also have to move my windows around now, so let's pop this over here. So yeah, I just kind of threw that together while I was rushing around ahead of the show. I'm actually surprised it did not result in a technical difficulty of any kind. Hope you're all very well. I'm good. I hope you can hear me. And yes, most of those tracks are from collab videos with Zach. Well, there we go. It was a good pre-show. I'm glad you liked it, Henrik. Yeah, I figured. I mean, I wish you could actually like just in the during the countdown on the YouTube thing that you could put in music or whatever. But I can understand most of the time people use copyrighted music. Fortunately, the stuff there is shareable and made by people who are watching. So all the more fun. Yeah, something new. I might try that again last week. Believe in yourself. Oh wait, wrong channel. Oh, I'm sorry. Have a good fun. Going to whichever channel you want to go to. Audio was good. Oh, I'm glad. I mean, why not? I mean, you're going to sit here and wait. You might as well. So what I think I'll probably do in future is I'll put it on like an hour ahead of time. I was kind of rushing tonight. But yeah, put it on an hour, 2 hours. Geez, I don't care. Put the timer up on the thing. I can edit the video after it's live just to trim, you know, the waiting room part of it. But I think it's kind of nice for people to make themselves at home. Turn on the YouTube, start chatting with each other. So if you like that, I think I'm going to keep doing that. The YouTube key is cool. Yes, indeed. So I like this shirt so much. I'm going to make some shirts like this, kind of inspired by this, and I'm going to bring them to the Hanami, which is on April 7th, and you should be there or be square. I've not seen Zach's awesome video yet, but I will be watching it, and I'm going to be there anyway. So you know, I made a not so awesome but just a very simple and straightforward video myself the other day, just walking around. The cherry blossoms are beautiful day today, all this week, like 20 something degrees, which in Fahrenheit's like perfect, whatever perfect is in Fahrenheit. Fortunately there was some snow last week. So what snow does with the cherry blossoms is it toughens them up and makes them last a little bit longer, which we'll need for April 7. There's always some late trees and some early trees and so on as well, so it'll be cool. But the weather's been really, really beautiful in Tokyo lately. It's been a really good week, and we are very much looking forward to seeing all of you guys. You can check out the last video on my channel, actually, if you want a promo, and that's got the link of info. For the Hanami information, it's just show up at Yogi Park. I think Phoenix is going to have a sign for it, and whatever, he's going to give the directions, but it should be very good. Hey, John Anderson, greetings from London. Good to see you there in London. Well, let's do this. Let's go through. I've got maybe one quick update to give. I was really hoping that by today that I could I could announce open beta for myChan TV, and that we could go crazy, and that was the plan, and it didn't quite work out like that. So put that there. There was something that's happened. I went and updated the mail settings on my domain account, and it caused all the DNS settings on the thing to reset. Long story short, it took like 4 days. This is the good thing about beta, I guess, is that the site was down for like 4 days, and we lost all of that time on bug crushing, and we've just about crushed. We've been working on like 30 fixes, tweaks, bugs, improvements suggested by the 20 very, very awesome beta testers for the site. And as a result, we're going to take it from that to open beta, where not quite launch, not like tell everybody, because I'm still sure I want to get it perfect, but the next step is to share it with all of you guys and gals. And I really want to do that. It's probably going to be midweek. We need like 3 or 4 more days, which we just lost this week, unfortunately. But the site's in really awesome shape, and I can't wait to actually start explaining it to you in detail. You can get updates if you follow myChan TV on Twitter or Facebook. You know, I'll also probably transmit the updates on my own social media and whatnot. Plus, I'll probably put a video up. But don't look at it right now because it is still being worked on. But when I say go, come and do that in a few days, basically. And I want all you guys to go crazy and check it out because it looks really, really good. Kim, I'm going to come to all the comments, but that is a good question. Can someone stream the Hanami on YouTube? That is what everybody always intends to do, and it always fails because in a crowded Yogi Park, the cell phone reception just dies. Now that said, given that it won't be middle of Hanami anymore, it may be possible to do this time, but I don't know. So Chances are, in previous years, we've always tried to do live streams of the Hanami and it's never worked. It might work this year. Zach there, he's got all his caps backwards, but in spite of that, he will be saying that he may stream that. So there we go. And you know, yes, so we're explaining that, and that's fine. But yes, you know, the reception's usually terrible, but we'll do our best. And I guess if Zach's going to do it, then I will sit back and enjoy the live streaming happening. But yeah, TQ Sam, is he going to come? I don't know. I guess he's likely to be around, but you know, everyone's going to be there. All the cool kids and the not cool kids. So yes, let's say hello to everybody before we get into it. So Phoenix 787 is saying boom, as indeed he should. He is already, actually, people don't know this, he is actually watching the show from up in a tree in Yoyogi Park. He's trying to hold all of the flower blossoms shut. And he is holding the place for April 7th. It's real dedication to making sure that it's a good party, and thank you for doing that, Phoenix. And you just make sure there's one tree for us anyway on April 7th, so thank you for that. We got Henrik Weber, good to have you along here. Phoenix 787, glad that you like the pre-show entertainment. Well, I might make that a thing. It's good to see that people like it. Olivia D, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, good to see you. Robert XXX001, hi indeed, hi right back at you, Robert. Aphex, oh swear, did he actually run with the oh sweet, that's right, I did run with the pre-show suggestion. I've always wanted to do that, and I just figured, hey, I could do that, why shouldn't I do that? So I did it. Boom, pretty nice actually, isn't it? Auntie Liana, good to see you, happy 19th anniversary. Oh, that's right, you know, I forgot that myself. It was my Japan anniversary this week, March 23rd, the day after my mother's birthday. That's how it's easy to remember. I flew to Japan here in 1999. I'd actually been here in 1998 and in 1995 and in 1990. But I came here on the stint to come and live for having just been accepted into a Japanese company. So March 1999 is where the current run started. So 19th anniversary. So I'm now in my 20th year in Japan. So the big 20. I don't know what I'm going to do for it, but yeah, it's kind of nice to survive. And thank you for the Japan anniversary mention there. Tai Nakamura comes in and notices it is his music, which it is indeed. So very congratulations on the awesome music. And as you can hear by this, by the way, you can go check out Tokyo Digital Crew, and you can go check out Tai Nakamura on SoundCloud. His music is downloadable and it is awesome. And you could hear some of it before the show if you show up. Or if you catch the video before the edits go into it. It's also good for that as well. Hey, Lauren Sakai, one of the awesome beta testers who came up with a lot of your suggestions have gone into what we are working on right now. And I was so hoping it would all be done. Also, t-shirts are also going to be awesome. A lot like this, kind of. Well, we'll see. That's what I'm going for. We'll see how they come out. But I'm getting them actually sent here, and then I'll probably post them out. But anyway, thank you for being you. Lauren Sakai actually gave some of the best feedback, and actually acting on a lot of her suggestions, and taking a lot of her suggestions as well for ideas that I want to take for the open beta for launch ideas, which I want to run by all you guys. So there'll be surveys and stuff like that. But you are awesome, and thank you for watching the show. Good to see you. Sinister, hey, there we go. Another one of the Tokyo Digital Crew, and good to see you indeed. Got everyone in here. Kohoshino. Well, there we go. People are liking the music, so I think I'm going to run with that suggestion. Criso de la Eriquejo, good to see you. Good morning. Buenos dias. I assume it's good morning where you are, and good to have you in here. Kimmy Kim Boom, indeed. We got, who else we got in here? Odie Jr., you made it. You were not late. That's correct. I saw that. I'm not late either. I was actually on time today, and it's kind of cool having the big digital clock thing. So that might be my thing. Anyway, we'll see how we go with that. But good that we all made it, and boom, indeed. Dokkan time, that's right. We made it. Beachness, that's right. And believe in yourself. Pre-show entertainment. Apparently, like the pre-show entertainment better than the show, I'm guessing. I'm sorry about that, but I'll try to make the show live up to the expectations set by the pre-show entertainment. Yes, indeed, we got Robert Olddude made it in. Good to see you, Robert Olddude. Welcome. John Anderson, greetings from London. I saw that before. Never fear, Shubus is here from Panama. Good to see you, indeed. Buenos dias. Excellent to have you in here. Mucho gusto. And is that it? Who else is in here? Say hello if you are watching. Nick Pomata. apparently wants to meet Tikyo Sam. I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but come to the Hanami. I'll be there. That'll be cool enough, surely. Victor is coming. Lots of people flying in. It's going to be pretty sweet. It's going to be awesome. So come in. Not cool kids, eh? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, making fun. I'm not. Well, welcome, Mr. Cordychep. He is the comic relief of the comment section in every one of these videos, and excellent to have you along here. Hiko has been in Japan longer than my fellow students have been alive. Well, there you go. So I must get some sort of bus pass for that. There's a message retracted there from Lovely Kid Japan. Well, Lovely Kid Japan, welcome. 1999. Well, I don't know what that means, but good to have you in here. And indeed, if you came here in 1999, I've been partying. Seriously, I've been here 19 years, and I'm still partying like it's 1999, which is the year that I arrived here. The sky was all purple, people running everywhere. It was just awesome. It was exactly like the song, pretty much. And for the people who weren't alive back then, you missed out. What can I say? You missed the whole year 2000 panic. Wow, people doing in the pre-show. I'm liking that. Okay, that's going to be a feature. I'm going to keep that. Ty, do you want to be a co-host on the show moving forward? Oh, are you talking about all the old dudes? Yes, Ty is an awesome guy, and you should totally have him as a co-host. I agree. And I will have Ty as a co-host through his awesome music, which I will have on the pre-show along with the greatest hits of the Tokyo Digital Crew, so that you guys can listen to that. I'm glad someone appreciates the 1980s music joke. Very good. Okay, let's get into the topics that we have this week. What do we have? I don't even remember. Oh, no, this is funny. So there's a news story here that there is a department of the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare dedicated to improving the work lifestyle of Japanese people, basically aimed at trying to counteract all of these news stories, all of these things happening of people working overtime and working to death, and all of the problems. I mean, given that there's a shortage of employment, people don't want to work like this, and companies need to reform and improve the way that they work and treat their workers. So there's a whole department of government actually now dedicated to researching and making legislative proposals to improve the work lifestyle of Japanese people, primarily reducing overtime. It turns out that somebody who was working in that department on those government legislative plans for reducing overtime apparently logged 200 hours overtime in a month, among many months. And this was actually when they were submitting data for Parliament to justify not only actually reducing overtime, but also trying to carve out exceptions, including a white-collar exception. That you could just work them to death like that. It turns out that the people making these rules themselves were working 200 hours overtime, and remember, that's overtime. So I'm terrible at math, but let's try it together. So if you talk about a regular work week of 40 hours, so that means 200 hours in a month. So I know, okay, so geez, when I was a lawyer and I would actually have to charge for all my hours, 200 hours a month was considered. So 200 is sort of standard. If you can charge for all of that, that's great. Working like plus 300 was when you start to feel really crap. I think I worked 320 or 340 a couple of times, but that's basically 400 hours work in a month, and that is bad for your health. I mean, that's crazy territory. So yes, it's just kind of funny that at the same time as the Ministry of Health, Labour, Welfare was trying to make legislative proposals on reducing overtime, with some really crappy exceptions that I don't like, because it's not like being a white collar worker means that you're less likely to die from overwork. In fact, you're probably in more danger of it. But all the while, the people who are actually writing those rules themselves logged overtime that was, frankly, I think it's like 120 hours or something is like now the red line limit that's considered to be life endangering, that you have to register with the ministry if you do, and they broke the overtime rules. So that was kind of ironic and funny, and that's why I put that in there. Hey, Nick Pomada from Sydney, good to see you there. Who else we got in here? We got just with all the drama going on in this last week, and we'll come to all the I try not to talk about the American government too much lately, but it's hard to avoid this week. So China and America drawing closer into conflict. Among the many things happening in the kind of escalating potential conflicts happening there is that the Chinese Chinese have disputes, like island disputes with a lot of different countries, obviously, including Japan being one of them, and they get very, very upset when Japan does anything to build on the disputed islands or do anything more than it already does. And Japan basically makes the disputed islands, the Senkaku Islands, off limits to people. You can actually be arrested if you try going there. A bunch of nationalists did it to piss off the Chinese. The Chinese reacted. The Japanese arrested them and detained them for going on there. That said, when Chinese people tried landing on the islands, the Japanese Coast Guard flooded the islands with postcards and made a big show of, hey, see, we're in control, which was actually bad for China, so that those people were also put in jail back in China. So everyone's sort of agreed with the islands around Japan that they're not going to, neither side's going to try to force their hand on it because they just don't want to escalate the thing. However, with the other disputes that China has with Vietnam, Philippines, basically South China Sea stuff, they're doing two things. One, they are aggressively moving and taking over islands that are disputed by multiple countries. The other thing is that they're building artificial islands and basically reefs and things which don't constitute islands, but they're filling them in with lots of sand, and they're building basically big Air Force and Navy bases around them. And there's a rule, the international law of the sea says that an artificial island, you can't claim a territorial sea around an artificial island, because if you did that, people would just build artificial platforms everywhere, claim that they're islands, and claim the whole economic zone around them, which is exactly what China's doing. They're building highly militarized artificial islands. And America just recently drove a ship right by one of them because you can't claim a territorial sea around one, just to make the point. China got extremely pissed off. So China's really aggressively militarizing all of its disputed island territories. Japan is not doing anything, but they're afraid that China might do what it's with the Senkakus and other islands of Japan, what China's doing elsewhere in the South China Sea. And to that mind, although they are not doing what Korea's done with Takeshima Island, fortifying the thing militarily and just making it like a complete waste of time to ever consider taking back, which there's a suggestion that the Tokyo former governor Ishihara himself made about that should be done perhaps at the Senkaku Islands, which he tried to purchase, by the way. Instead, the Japanese military or self-defense force, can't call it a military because it's against the constitution, has formed a Marine Brigade, which is dedicated to practicing taking back islands that are taken by hostile powers. So while all of this increasing tension is occurring throughout the region, Japan is quietly, and still, it's definitely against the constitution, but, who's going to fault Japan for having Marines capable of defending remote islands? That said, it's kind of scary. All of this stuff has always been theoretical, but it's kind of getting more real lately. And, no one here is interested in that at all, but that said, they are reacting by creating a proper Marine force. So that's kind of been quiet news, but it's kind of significant if you think about everything else that's going on in APAC. We're not talking about trade wars yet, but yes, Giancarlo Sands, you indeed made it in time. Welcome that you made it. And Aka Robertson, Australian cheating cricketer. Yes, well, the Australian cricket team, I've heard about this ball tampering thing. You do see players like scratching cricket balls. This is a cricket thing. Big news on BBC and the sort of English world, Commonwealth or whatever, cricket playing countries. Australia's basically admitted, I think, to cheating, to tampering with a cricket ball, which you can kind of grind it down on. You can do all sorts of things to make the ball do funny things, and the Australians have admitted to cheating. I think it's terrible. But there again, I'm a New Zealander. You don't need to talk to us about what the Australians do in cricket, unethically. I won't say it. But, yeah, it's good that they're getting a lot of shit for this because, the thing is, the Australians have like the strongest cricket team in the world. I have no idea. It's pretty, that they have to cheat on top of that because they, it's kind of lame. So yes, that's all that I'm saying about that. Hanami, I shot the Hanami video the other day. It was in English. It was a very quick one. It was just saying Hanami is awesome. It's April 7, Yoyogi Park, and yeah, it'll be awesome. Be there and be square. Be there and hang out with me and get some t-shirts, get some swag, get some and just chill. It'll be awesome to hang out. I'm very much looking forward to it. And thanks once again to Zach and Victor and all the others who are contributing to running it. It will be awesome if you're in Tokyo. Be there. They are out the tent. The weather has just been lovely. The cherry blossoms have been awesome, and you just get endless photos like this at the moment. It's just really, really awesome. What else we got here? Oh yeah, so this year the cherry blossoms have come out 10 days earlier than usual, 9 days earlier than last year. This is what happens with the weather, and you never really know until a week or two out. It's that first warm burst, and when that happens, that triggers all the flowers to blossom. That said, yeah, we've had, although we had snow and freezing cold rain last week, we had a great weekend this weekend. And the weather forecast is like 20 degrees all this week. So if you're in Tokyo, or you're coming to Tokyo, or you have the ability or chance to come to Tokyo now, because this is like the best week of the year ahead. It's really lovely at the moment. Lots of great cherry blossom viewing places to go. I would suggest the best ones are Yasukuni Shrine, Nakameguro, Ueno Park. I mean, pretty much anywhere though. This is the thing in Japan. They like and sakura trees. They're funny. I've said this before. Cherry blossom trees are ugly, horrible trees. In New Zealand or most other countries, when you try to have trees that look nice, you just get some nice evergreens that are just going to have some greenery all year round. Nice lush big leaves and some sort of resilience or whatever. So cherry blossom trees in winter, they are completely bare. They're just these horrible grey. They look like the tree in Poltergeist, in the first. Most cherry blossom trees during winter just look like that Indian burial ground, horrible scary tree from Poltergeist. And then in summer, they have these little weak kind of pale green small leaves. They're just thanks for sharing, Felix. They've got these pale green little leaves that sort of fall. They just they don't really do it. They don't really provide much shade. They just kind of sort of sit there. They're not very cool, And so, but for the 52 weeks of the year, for 1 week, cherry blossom trees are awesome. They are just the most spectacular thing for 1 week. And for whatever reason, Japan decided a long time ago that I'm not censoring. You can see I'm uncensoring everything, and you can see it anyway. For 1 week in the year, these trees are super beautiful, the most beautiful thing out there. They're the ugliest trees that you could possibly get for 51 weeks, but for 1 week they're really good, and that's this week. And they plant these things, for whatever reason, they plant these things everywhere. These are the most popular tree in Japan, in Tokyo, in Kyoto. And they only look good for 1 week in the whole year, and you never know when that week is going to come because of the weather being all over the place. So we've found this year. Koro Hoshino's worried about the political scandal. Not really. I mean, drama as usual with the politics stuff. I know that you're very upset about it. Yes, we can come back to that later. But in any case, they are awesome. They are here. They're going to be around for a little bit longer. But yes, I hope you are enjoying the cherry blossoms. And if you're in Tokyo, I'll post some more Instagrams and stuff like that, just because they're very, very nice. And they'll go back to being, these horrible, ugly trees pretty soon. So enjoy it while it lasts. This is a kind of a cool story. In Fukuoka, my hometown in Japan, there's a story here from Sora News, Rocket News, where somebody was tweeting about a conflict that they had with their boss at work. Basically, in fact, the story here is probably a woman talking about the husband of a friend. Apparently, he told his boss that his wife has influenza, so he's going home early from work today to take care of her. To which the boss or the manager responded, there are you can be replaced anytime. There are plenty of people who can do your job. To which the person responded, I can't replace you. You can't replace my wife, you dumbass. Dumbass is kind of like bakaero. Probably the way that it was said was probably more like you asshole. Japanese doesn't really have swear words like that, but you can tell by the way it was said. And he became concerned that he was going to be fired after that, or that he could get in trouble at work. It turned out that the manager was the one who got in trouble. My wife can't be replaced, you dumbass. Lots of people like the tweet. It got retweeted a lot. So you see in Japan, I mean, there are dicks as there are everywhere, but there are also cool people, and this is a well-liked tweet, and I thought it was just kind of a nice little story anyway. And it's a good reminder, although some Japanese workplaces, including ones that I've worked at, are definitely not family first. It's good to know that these things can still happen. I'm still shaming those trees. They are ugly trees that are really nice for 1 week, which is right now, and it's lovely. So go look at them. But Yeah, they turn kind of brown. They go no, they don't go red. So those are the ichos, which are okay as well, but those aren't cherry blossoms. Um, but yes, hey Yasa, you made it. Good to see you. I'm never on time for TT World. Who cares? Um, So yes, I've talked about bid rigging before and how the lovely democracy of Japanese bid rigging, that all the companies, rather than paying a bribe to beat the other companies, they all actually cooperate. This is kind of Japanese corruption is like be friendly to everybody, and it has a sense of that it's supposed to be fair, that they try to share the work equally, which is what they did. The only people who were not in on the bid rigging were the taxpayers who were funding it. And as a result, the four largest construction companies in Japan that are building the maglev train between Tokyo and Nagoya, which will be awesome when it's done, but it looks like that the CEOs of those companies are being indicted and could go to jail for it. And this is cultural. I mean, I've been in Japan a long time. I've been around public work stuff, and I've had people tell me how great it is that in Japan we all work together and we don't try to screw we don't try to screw each other out of things, and people aren't trying to enrich themselves. Everybody's trying to help each other. It's really cooperative. It's really great. I think this is a great thing about Japanese culture. It was a conversation I've heard once from someone about bid rigging and how wonderful it is. These people are going to jail, and they deserve it because they stole from taxpayers and deceived. And this happens all the time. The ombudsman, they find out that people get inside information. They bid 99% of the budget that's available, and all the work is shared exactly equally. It's Japanese-style corruption. It's kind of nice. I mean, there are definitely worse types of corruption that you could imagine, but still, that is what it is, right? So they are going to jail. Probably a very nice jail anyway. Japan, US is currently, so kind of, I mean, again, you've got a reality TV show government, which the American people voted for. Even the people who didn't voted for it. I mean, in the end of the day, as the election result goes, as the electoral college goes, it was an overwhelming, easy win for the person who won it. Even though, of course, the popular vote, I mean, it's not a popular vote that decides, but was different. But so this is what people knowingly chose, and they chose, a guy who's going to go around and create drama, and that's what they're doing, provoking, China, and not so much Russia actually, but certainly China at the moment with the tariffs and so on. And among all the different ways that they're putting pressure on China at the moment, one is that they are kind of prodding about Taiwan. Now, Taiwan is awesome. Taiwan is a small island that's more people than Australia, fantastic economy, great people, very Japan friendly. And it is a country. It has a currency, it has a government, it has a military, and we're all supposed to pretend that it doesn't exist because China will get super pissed. Ostensibly because they still claim constitutionally, they're kind of softening their stance, but theoretically they are the government in exile of China. They are the government that was exiled in 1947 from the mainland, and they still claim to be the Republic of China, that is the rightful government of all of China. And PRC says, no, government here in Beijing, this is China, we're the government of China, and both sides claim that all of China is still one country. Although there are lots of Taiwanese people who, after they got out from martial law, imposed by the government in exile that escaped from China, it's kind of 50-50, the people, the politics, and the people on the island who are ex-refugees and mainland evacuees who still believe in unification with the mainland, and Taiwanese who are like, screw those guys. So America basically keeps peace. I mean, it succeeds at keeping peace between China and Taiwan, and stops China going in and just destroying Taiwan two ways. One, by the military forces in Okinawa that are huge deterrents in the region, and the other way is that they supply Taiwan militarily, although in order to not push it too far, they don't recognize Taiwan diplomatically. However, it's considered to be a major trigger. Like if you want to trigger it, China do anything to do with Taiwan, any sort of acknowledgement. And it looks like America is going to step up recognition in terms of government recognition and travel of government officials, including to go and visit Taiwanese government officials, which is actually, if you ask me, it's a good thing. It's being done kind of for the wrong reasons. It's being done just basically to piss off China and to increase pressure. And I bear in mind that while you're doing all of this, America sold half of its debt to China. So, they're both up for the fight. Japan is not up for the fight. Japan doesn't want to be in a fight with America at all. But again, I was kind of joking. To me, this whole tariffs thing, this whole steel tariffs thing, they gave a list of all the countries, the close allies of America that are exempt from steel tariffs, and it's Europe, Argentina, South Korea, Australia, but doesn't include Japan, which is kind of funny when you think about how important Japan is for regional security. And in the context of all the Japan bashing that's happened by the current administration. It's kind of like they are trying to provoke a trade war with Japan as well. Or more specifically, America has asked Japan to start, now that they've pulled out of the TPP, they still want to get the benefit of free trade with Japan, but they want it on more American-friendly terms, so they've asked for FTA, free trade agreement negotiations, bilateral. And it looks like they are going to use the tariffs which they're going to impose on Japan sort of as blackmail to try to punish Japan, and in order to change the balance of power in the negotiations. It's actually kind of a smart but kind of shitty negotiating move. It ironically will also put Japan on the side of China going to the WTO to try to get the tariffs removed. I don't know. Again, this is a guy who showed up in pro wrestling and liked to start fake fights with people and shave heads and stuff like that. This is what America wants, and this is what it's getting, and it's just kind of crap, to tell you the truth. I'm not talking tonight about the anti-gun marches around America, but power to those people. I mean, holy crap! At least someone's gonna actually vote to actually change things. I mean, America's just totally failed the last few, or the American people completely failed in the last few elections. And well, maybe they didn't fail. I mean, again, if this is what they wanted, they've got it. But it's good to see that the people who can't vote yet are going to probably do something more, including getting rid of all those stupid freaking guns. I mean, it's just insane. So yeah, good to see all of that. And you know what, the Taiwan thing on itself, I think is good news. I love Taiwan. I love Taiwanese people. I think it's really crap that you can't acknowledge them and that they're in this really weird position with China. And if you're gonna poke China, I mean, that's one way. I don't mind doing it because, frankly, Taiwan is a country. It deserves recognition. Its people deserve recognition. How can you ignore and pretend that a country bigger than Australia doesn't exist? They make the freaking iPhone, Foxconn, a Taiwanese company. I mean, geez. So, yes, I hope that gets resolved. That's pretty cool. Down the bottom, old people increasing. So the majority of elderly in Japan, age 65 or over, most of them are now over 75. So there are lots of them, and they're getting older and older. Good, but again, when I think of my son, it means he's going to have to be paying for their medical care, which in Japan we do pay for medical care of people, or we share the burden of that as a society. It is a right, but of course it's going to be testing for taxes and for government funding. By the way, if you want to draw my attention to anything, please mark me in the comments. It'll flash orange, and I will actually pay attention to it and react to it. But otherwise, I'm just going to keep charging forward. This is kind of interesting. Again, Japan this week rejected 4 Syrian refugees. These were refugees from Syria, and Japan said, "Hey, no, you're not refugees." So again, I mean, even acknowledging that there are a lot of non-refugees or people just wanting to be able to work in Japan, or that there are people taking advantage of the refugee system, acknowledging that probably exists to some extent. I mean, the Japanese government claims that of 35,000 people applying for refugee visas, all but 20 of them fall in that category. And that to me sounds like complete bullshit, but I'm willing to accept that some percentage of people do fall into that category. But even saying so, I mean, holy crap, how are there... Hey, Sergeant Bilko, good to see you. Seriously, if you cannot qualify as a refugee from Syria, like, who can qualify? Maybe Taiwanese. I mean, geez, we're going to have them soon, probably. I mean, just the Japanese government, again, being really shitty. Japanese government gets a great... Tsuune Sugihara, the Japanese diplomat who saved lots of refugee Jews during World War II against orders from the Japanese government. Japan has, in spite of its best efforts, some positive track record on refugees. I know people who support those refugees. I've featured the Japan Association for Refugees on this channel before. I know lawyers as well who actually do pro bono work to support refugee cases, and there are a lot of legit, like, real refugees in there. I know that the Japanese government wants to control immigration, but you know there are obligations. That it does have a duty, like the entire international community has a duty to take care of people who are legitimate refugees. I mean, you know, you never know when the tables are going to be turned and you're going to be in that situation. This is why we do it. You just take care of other people. Behringer, where do you get it from? Stop it. Stop it. Behave. Okay, I'm going to go to the next story. This is a very good video. So thanks to that, thanks to myChan, I've been actually watching a lot more YouTube lately, and I made a couple of awesome playlists which I will share. It's one thing I'm trying to think about how I can share these playlists, but for now you make them out of your own subscriptions. And for the first time in a while, I watched Dogen, who does a lot of Japanese videos. This wasn't a Japanese video, but it was just a video of things that are difficult to say, which I watched it thinking that they would be tongue twisters or something like that. And it turned out, no, they are just things which are just kind of very difficult, like socially and awkward to say in Japanese, even though they're normal phrases. And he did a really long video, and it's very, very good. If I recall correctly, Dogen, he can do like magic tricks. I think he lives in Kyushu. He speaks excellent Japanese, which he teaches. So if you want to learn Japanese, he's a great source on that. This is a very, very good video. So go watch that stuff because it's very, very good. And he is awesome. This was kind of cool the other day. Some of these movies I actually haven't seen yet, including Silence, which I must admit I do want to go and see. But movie locations that you can visit in Japan. Yeah, it's a good way to travel around actually. So Silence, Martin Scorsese, was apparently shot in Unzen. You could have done this in New Zealand. You shoot a lot of Japanese movies in New Zealand because New Zealand looks a lot like Japan actually geologically. Mount Unzen is near Fukuoka. It actually erupted and killed a whole bunch of people in 1990 on my first trip to Japan here. It was, well, Nagasaki, there we go. But that looks like Rotorua in New Zealand actually. Lauren Sakai, yeah, Dogen's, me too. I think he's awesome. So that's one. From Wolverine, the temples that he went to. I must admit, sometimes I watch like things like Lost in Translation, which I do like. It's a good movie. And I watch things like, you know, Wolverine. And they really like cut and paste a lot of Japan into something, so they make it look like you're going on a. But here's the problem: when you know the locations, you know, no, you don't go in that sequence, or that's on the other side of the country. How did he do that? Like, no, you can't stay in Nakagin Tower like that. That's not true. But yes, I mean, you know, you have to suspend disbelief, and they are really, really cool. So you can go and check out the Zozoji Temple. Did I say that right? No, I did not. It's the Zojoji. Well, there we go. I know the Nakagin Tower, but that's actually really close to Ginza Hub, the workspace that Rob runs, and he's been helping me with that. But Zojoji, I guess I just showed I don't know it very well. Where is Zojoji? It's in Minato? Well, I obviously haven't been. Oh yeah, there's Tokyo Tower behind it. That kind of makes sense now. Well, there we go. Bald Berlitz Boy, good to see. Blade Runner. Blade Runner not actually shot in Japan, interestingly enough, but inspired by North Shinjuku. Apparently the director actually admitted this, and you can actually go to Shinjuku and you can totally understand how they got that image. What else we got? That's the Nakagin Tower. The building's abandoned and is actually like under scaffolding and whatever, but it's architecturally an extremely interesting building. The bullet train to Hiroshima. So there we go, Shimbashi, whatever. I did not know. So again, Babel, I think I've seen. I never picked up that the nightclub scene from that was at Womb. Womb, I haven't been to in like, geez, more than 10 years now. It's embarrassing, but Womb is my favorite nightclub in Tokyo for two reasons. Multiple reasons. It's got good music. It's got excellent acoustics. It's got a huge dance floor. It's got multiple levels and multiple rooms. They have drum and bass nights, which is my thing. In fact, all the styles of music that I like the most, like you know, break beats, drum and bass, as well as the regular house stuff they have there. All my favorite DJs play there. It is one of the, for my money, it's the best nightclub in Tokyo. And so they shot that there, and that is an excellent place to go to if you ever want to go clubbing in Tokyo. That is the place. That said, I haven't been out. There might be better clubs. There are some good clubs. There's Ageha in Shinkiba, which has a good sound system, but it's like so hard to get to. Whereas that Womb is right in the middle of the Love Hotel district in Shibuya, which is probably good for the noise reasons. Don't know if that has anything to do with the name Womb, but there we go. The Scramble intersection, of course, was been in lots of movies, including Fast and the Furious. Memoirs of a Geisha, another movie that I haven't seen, but apparently did that famous Tori Tunnel, so there we go. Tom Cruise met at where did they meet? You know, they shot actually Last Samurai in New Zealand. They used Mount Egmont, Mount Taranaki as Mount Fuji. It looks exactly the same. Slightly short, well, not even slightly shorter. It's like 8,000 feet, whereas Mount Fuji's like 12,000 feet. But it's basically the same looking mountain. But where did they go? So apparently they had it look like the Tokyo Imperial Palace. Right. But did they actually shoot anything there in New Zealand? So yeah, they did some CG and stuff and whatever, but there we go. So they had some stuff that looked like the palace. Oh yeah, this is kind of famous. Gonpachi in Minatoku, where Tarantino, did he shoot Kill Bill? I thought it was inspired by that, but did he actually shoot there? Apparently he loved the restaurant. That's also where Koizumi famously took George W. Bush, and they hit it off, and it's a good restaurant as well actually, and it's quite affordable. Gonpachi, it's in Roppongi, and it's very, very good. Black Rain, Dotomori in Osaka. Well, yeah, so actually Black Rain's kind of, it's a bit dated, but it's a good movie actually. It's very 1980s view of Japan kind of stuff, but I quite like Black Rain, and that is Osaka indeed. From Godzilla's first rampage, if you watch that, I guess these are the buildings that get stomped there. That is the National Parliament, the National Diet. Yeah, that's quite a good article. It's quite a good way to travel around, and some of these spots are very, very awesome. And there was a comment there from Kimmy Kim Kim. When was the last time I went clubbing? You know what? I think actually, now that I think back, I took some people out and we went to Rome about 5 years ago, and I miss it. But I can't do it, so nah. But yes, I did have a good night out a few years ago actually, and that was really, really good. And it was at that club, so that's why I'm like, that is my favorite club. What have we got here? What is this? Oh yeah, so this is the Japan being left out of the countries that have important security relationships with America. So I suppose when you think about it that way, on the one hand, Japan could say, well, screw you, and do what Hatoyama did and said, just close down all the bases, please, and move away from Okinawa, which is a terrible idea because of Taiwan, because of Korea, because of the regional strategic importance of Okinawa. Although it sucks to be Okinawa, the US bases there are very, very important. That said, and Hillary Clinton destroyed Hatoyama. And let me be clear as well, Clinton would not have been friendly with Japan. Clinton was not friendly towards Japan, Bill or Hillary. Arguably pro-China, if anything. Certainly almost likes China better than Japan. I mean, Japan's just something, was sort of taken for granted typically by Democrats. Not allowed to look too friendly with Japan. Typically, Japanese governments have always welcomed Republican administrations because they generally have been more friendly with Japan than Democrat ones. That said, obviously not the case now. And I was kind of joking. It's a bit like you've set this up like Survivor, and they're just voting people off, and it looks like Shinzo made an early play to be friends with Donald, and but he decided that he would keep South Korea strategically around, and he didn't need Shinzo in an alliance for now. So Shinzo was voted off the island early, and was not included in the list of important countries that deserve the friendship of America. So. Interesting in terms of Survivor International Relations Week. Japan voted off early. Who knows who's going to be next? My money would be maybe on South America, but we'll see. It could be South Korea. I mean, we know that they're building up to a big confrontation with Kim, where probably South Korea is going to get thrown under the bus at that point. But for now, Japan voted off early. Very disappointing for the Japan fans. But you can always switch to supporting the other countries and seeing how long they last. And that's terrifying. Thank you, America. Thank you. America, Japan being very disappointed. Japan pulls out the stop to improve nightlife for foreign tourists, which I would just point out again. A few years ago, like the elderly Japanese parliamentarians decided to amend the law, which actually outlaws dancing at night, which was never enforced while they were going night clubbing, but suddenly is being enforced lately by police to allow dancing at night, but only if the lights are on, and I don't know, there's enough room for the baby Jesus or something. They had some weird legislative stuff to basically make it so that young kids could not go and do suspicious things in clubs. I mean, the 1960s and 70s, those people were like the absolute dodgiest, worst, and they made awesome club music and they made awesome nightclubs and they banned dancing. That said, apparently they are trying, or the story here is that they are trying to improve nightlife. Perhaps let them freaking dance. How about that? I mean, just stupid. But yes, that said, DJ events, street vendors, and there are lots of... Anyway, tourism agency is trying to promote Japan's nightlife in spite of the fact that the government is also trying to destroy it at the same time. Japan has the best nightlife in the world. Problem is that it's illegal if you start doing this, you know. So yes, bust a move indeed. I don't know if you guys have seen. This is all over Facebook, spying on me. We had the Karate Kid spin-off YouTube Red series Cobra Kai. This looks really fun. It looks really good. They've got the redemption of Cobra Kai. Well, not redemption. It's kind of hard to tell actually, but yes, I must admit this tempts. Well, I don't think we can see YouTube Red in Japan actually, but I hope there's some way to watch this because I want to watch it. The trailer is really awesome. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Looks good anyway, and yes, it's kind of cool. Speaking of Japan forming the Marines this week, what China does when they try to remind everybody, hey, you know, we still have a claim on Senkaku, don't think we've forgotten about it, they send Coast Guard vessels to go and basically go into the territorial waters around the islands. They deliberately do not send Navy vessels or military vessels because they don't want to, you know, act like militarily about it, but they do send Coast Guard vessels, you know, so kind of civilian fishing patrol or whatever. This week, apparently, China placed the Coast Guard under military control, so technically those Coast Guard ships are now military. It is going to make it interesting next time they do one of their routine invasions of Japanese territorial waters, now that those are technically military ships. It is an incremental... This is the thing, I mean, now dictator for life, right? They don't have to rush with this. They can do it little baby steps, you know, towards it. I still think it's going to be really kind of crazy and dangerous when you can start using drones for this sort of thing, but for now, you know, a little bit scary it looks like. I imagine that this is going to be used to basically arm and start using, you know, in the same way like Russia and Crimea, they're going to start using probably Coast Guard boats as de facto warships. And yeah, I don't know. Japan's formed a military, you know, a marine battalion to sort of counteract this sort of thing. But in the end of the day, I mean, I think actually doing what China is doing in the South China Sea and doing what Korea does with Takeshima and doing what Russia is doing with the Northwestern territories, what are they doing? They're fortifying them and building bases on them. Unless Japan does that with the Senkaku Islands, which is going to really piss off China if they do. But if they don't do it, they're gone. You might as well just hand them over now. So, interesting dilemma for Japan that is actually being the least dickish out of China, South Korea, and Russia, that are all just being complete dicks and, you know, hypocritical and arming, you know, disputed islands and so on, trying to, you know, act like that. Japan's not. Japan is keeping those islands, you know, clean and whatever, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be putting them at an advantage. There's the story I was talking about earlier about 4 Syrian people being denied refugee status, which makes you question how I just saw the question, so let me come back to it. How could you become a refugee if Syrians can't be refugees? It's kind of crazy. Phoenix 787, should Japan change Article 9? Well, that is up to Japan. It appears that most of Japan does not see a good reason to change Article 9. If you ask me, given that Article 9 is so Article 9 renounces war as a means of settling international disputes and the possession of land, sea or air military forces, something to that effect. No military, no use of force. Every other country in the world, even Costa Rica, which doesn't have a military, doesn't actually fully renounce that sort of thing. They've just opted not to have one. Bear in mind, this was a punishment constitution, that is a punishment clause imposed by America de facto after World War II, after Japan lost. It was kind of a prison sentence for Japan, which Japan has actually discovered it's a really comfortable prison because America looks after its defense, and it's gotten rich on the back of that. So there's, on top of the fact that they haven't had anyone killed in military action since World War II, they've also gotten rich. So Article 9's worked out very, very well for Japan. Now that said, if Japan wants to get rid of Article 9, if the Japanese people as a majority want to be a normal country that can actually defend itself with force and have normal military forces and that can cooperate with other military countries. And remember, I grew up in a military family. Again, New Zealand self-defense forces. How come New Zealand can have a self-defense forces and Japan is not allowed to because of a constitution written by the Americans in 1953? So, you know, my view is that if Japan wants to get rid of Article 9, yay, good on you, go do it. Whether they should do it is entirely up to them. I think there's for and against it. It's the Japanese people's call. I don't think it's problematic at all if they do it. I know a lot of people say, oh, Japan's becoming militarized again, but Japan is so far away from being militarized. This is the thing. I mean, they've got a self-defense force that they should just recognize, if you ask me. But, you know, renouncing Article 9 is, you know, compared to fully militarized states like China is, Japan is like, you know, a babe in the woods, actually. But that said, I've got a kid who's Japanese, so, you know, the last thing I would want is for my son to be called up for conscription for mandatory military service, which they do have in countries in Europe, South Korea, Taiwan. People hate it. People migrate to Canada and New Zealand just to avoid military service because it's horrible, apparently. And the idea that you could get into a conflict or dragged into being forced to go to war, it's a situation I don't think any Japanese person wants, and that's why they keep Article 9. But it'll be interesting to see. If they want to get rid of it, they're certainly entitled to, if you ask me. Yes, Article 9 is completely unreasonable for any sovereign country. Well, it's unreasonable to impose on another country. Technically, Japan adopted it, and Japan has, for whatever reason, you know, continued with it. They're certainly entitled. I think it's a wonderful example that the Japanese government, which now does have the ability, if it wants to change the constitution, is choosing not to so far. But you know, it's entirely their choice. But yeah, it certainly is. We're looking upon it as a punishment constitution, which I think is one way of looking at it. I mean, they didn't do this to Iraq. They didn't do this. You know, America didn't do this to Afghanistan, or, you know, half the countries that took over. So, you know, it's a bit of idealism. You know, but yeah, the Japanese have held on to it, and credit to them for doing it. It's their choice. So this is kind of cool. Naomi Osaka. I don't know if you've been following the news about her. She's been very big news in Japan. So although she's been living in America since she was 3, so she's really de facto, it sounds like, basically raised as an American or an American Japanese. But her mother is Japanese. Her father apparently was a Haitian person. But she represents Japan on the tennis circuit, and she is just awesome. She reminds me of Crystal Kay, actually. Just because, you know, she's got the American way of talking and so on. Her mannerisms are very similar. Now, Serena Williams, of course, not at her best form, but that said, Naomi Osaka is not ranked at the moment. She's just coming in, and she started winning these tournaments. And she's been doing very well, and on top of that, to beat, you know, someone who's a champ, even not in form, she still is a champion, Williams. It's really, really cool. Yeah, that's her on the left there, and she is awesome, and it's really, really cool just to see lots of half Japanese, one, that are really representing Japan awesomely at the moment, and 2, to see news media now. I think even when I first got to Japan in the 90s, it was kind of a curiosity to see a half Japanese athlete, you know, and the news coverage could not avoid mention that they're half, or they'd have to explain that where the person's parent is from, or they'd have to explain, oh yes, but they're really Japanese, don't worry. Whereas now I love the fact that news stories like this gets covered by news media without even going into that. It's just, she's Japanese, she's doing it, which is kind of just what you want. They're just normal, you know. I mean, there's lots of different types of Japanese now. Again, as a parent of a half Japanese, I think it's encouraging to see the shift, that a really strong shift that now no one really questions anymore. I think there was a thing when you'd have half athletes, you know. Since we've had all these dervishes, we've had all these soccer players, we've had all these athletes who have come through and who Japanese are really proud of as Japanese, and I think people are getting more comfortable with recognizing this. That's right, they're just normal. But you know, it's taken a bit of time. I mean, since the 80s and 90s, it's taken time for people to understand that they're normal, but it's nice to see that going through, and on top of that, just seeing them kick ass. So I'm very, very happy about that. And she's doing really, really well, and that's really cool. Nagoya Legoland, which has been criticized for having extremely high entry prices, has failed to really take off. All the concession shops for food or whatever are outside of the park. You cannot get them within the park. There's no shade, and I don't know. It's just been going really bad, and it's in Nagoya on top of everything else. The bus service from Nagoya Station to Legoland apparently was having like 20 people per day use it, like in the whole day. So the Nagoya city said, sorry Legoland, we're not giving you a bus anymore because no one's using it. So it looks like it's Legoland in Nagoya is not long for this world. There is a Legoland, kind of a Legoland in Odaiba in Tokyo. It's really cool. It's like kids only, parents with kids. Adults cannot, children cannot go in there and play. But it's pretty sweet actually. I've been in there with my son a couple of times. It's not like a full Legoland like in Malaysia or Denmark or what Nagoya intends to be, but it turns out Nagoya kind of sucks and people would like to go to it in Tokyo. So yeah, it's kind of a shame that they screwed it up, but that is a shame. If you do want to go to Nagoya in Legoland, or you didn't go to Legoland in Nagoya, or you did not know that it existed, you better go quick, because it might not be there much longer, and it certainly won't be there by the time the maglev is constructed. So we had snow this week in Tokyo. So this is the crazy thing about this time of year. If you come, I tell Victor that Nagoya sucks all the time, and he knows it. He admits it's like the Cleveland of Japan. So the crazy thing about spring, Tokyo, Japan, because it's really close to Asia. I'm from a country in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so we have what we call ourselves 4 seasons in one day. We'll typically have like a summer weather, winter weather, rainy, everything. The weather just changes every 5 minutes in New Zealand. There's no stabilizing influence of a big continent. Australia's kind of there, but it doesn't really have much impact. Japan, on the other hand, is very close to Asia. So, we get like the same weather pretty much all of winter, the same weather all of summer, and the only time that you really get unstable weather is during this period, during spring, where you're kind of switching from this dry Siberian high pressure system to this tropical sort of Philippine black current, we call it the southern current, that comes up, that kind of causes all the typhoons and all the hot humid weather. And while it's jumping back and forth at this time of year that happens during spring, you get crazy pine pollen flying everywhere that makes half the people sick. You do get the cherry blossoms, but you also get this weather when it's switching back and forth. You switch between winter cold and summer warmth. We're lucky this week we can have like quite nice weather all of this week, but last week we had one day where it dropped 20 degrees and we had pretty decent snow. There were really big snowflakes, and big snowflakes of course melt right away, so it didn't really settle on the ground or anything, but it did make for very nice photos which you could take of snow and falling big snowflakes and cherry blossoms at the same time. It was very picturesque. It was kind of surprising. It was like 2 days after, it was like 25 degrees. It was like 5 degrees and snowing. But that is what you don't mention snow. You're done with the shoveling, of course. In Sweden there, I guess you do have to deal with snow a little bit more than we do in Tokyo. But yes, anyway, it was lovely, and there are lots of lovely photos of it there. And so we will get the blizzards, hopefully of just cherry blossoms and no more snow. This is another political scandal, so I don't want Ko Hoshino to get upset, but I'll explain this one very quickly. This is another. There's a whistleblower from the Ministry of Education. 2 of these scandals involving Abe at the moment, like basically supporting his right-wing friends, opening up dodgy schools. There was a whistleblower from within the Ministry of Education who tipped off that this is these dodgy school applications being approved are being done under political pressure from the extreme right wing, from the Prime Minister himself and the group that he's a member of, Nippon Kaigi and so on. And he basically came out and tipped off that there were notes with meetings implying the political pressure that was being associated with the approval of these schools. All of this is coming up in biting LDP on the ass right now. Abe might have to resign over it. However, at that time when this whistleblower came out and criticized the government for their interference in trying to approve these dodgy schools, all of a sudden all of this dirt came out on the guy that he liked to go to hostess clubs or something. And basically they accused him of of working in the sector that he regulates, and basically the government spokesperson himself actually came out and directly attacked the person's character in public, and they tried to basically drag this person through the dirt to discredit the whistleblowing that he did against the government. That said, this is like 2 years ago now, and in spite of that, he this guy, again, now the scandal's really starting to catch up with the government. Apparently this guy, former education official, high-ranking official, went to go and speak at a school in Osaka just about education in general, just as sort of an expert. And apparently a bunch of LDP members who wanted to sort of get revenge and shut this thing down apparently called up the Ministry of Education and said, this guy is speaking at a school, he shouldn't be doing it, he's not fit to speak at a school. And the Ministry of Education, under pressure from the government, went and told the school to basically account for what this person was doing teaching at the school, which might sound almost kind of normal in a way. I mean, the Ministry of Education controlling education. But in Japan, there's a subtext to this, that the Ministry of Education is not allowed to control education. School boards have complete independence in Japan and are not allowed to be. The central government cannot dictate what people learn in schools, because last time it was able to do that was during World War II, when it got a little bit crazy with the propaganda and brainwashing and stuff like that. So like Article 9, post-war, the Ministry of Education, Japanese government is not allowed to dictate for schools. They're allowed to choose themselves what they teach. And they're not supposed to interfere, especially politically, in the running of schools. But that happened in this case because they really hate this whistleblower who spoke at a school, which possibly caused them to break the anti-propaganda, anti-political interference education law of Japan, which NHK jumped on, a bunch of news media jumped on as well, which technically kind of makes the situation worse for the LDP. They wanted to get this guy, and it kind of backfired. So yes, the continuing dramas about Japan. It's a cheap shot attempt at revenge, that they tried punishing the school, and this kind of backfired, which was kind of funny. But all of this is still building up to the pressure on the Japanese government there. Given that, what people like Abe for is that he keeps America friends, and if that's not working and he's got all of this going on, he could be in trouble. So yes, that's what's going on with that. And myChan TV, 20 fixes implemented, 10 to go, almost open beta, then the DNS got screwed up, so we lost 4 days. So look out for the announcements this week. Got the sign there, I'm going to sort of leave that there, it's kind of cool. I will be doing more announcements on the myChan Twitter. The site is awesome. Lauren Sakai, are you still there? I mean, you played with it, you made a lot of very good suggestions, but I hope you appreciated what it does. I've been enjoying watching it myself, it's in really good shape. We're going to be taking a whole bunch of suggestions from the limited beta testers, and when I announce go, you can all come in and have a play with it this week, and hopefully for a while, and it's going to be really awesome. And so don't look at it yet, because we're still fixing it. We've still got like 3 or 4 more days. Or you can look at it actually, David, because you are also a beta tester. But look out, because it's going to be ready for open beta really soon. And when I do that, I don't want to quite tell the world yet, because I'm still looking for bugs, and I still want to set it up for launch, which is I want to have like a special cool thing for people who I want people who are willing to help me support the site, to pay for the upkeep of the site. I want to have some features that will be good for those people, but I want it to be basically really usable by everybody for free. So I'm got to figure out how to get that balance right. What needs to be there with the free, what's nice to have that would justify giving a donation to support the site. So we'll figure all of that out coming up, but I'm glad that you've noticed some of this fixes, and some of them, a lot of them were from you actually, so no, they're not complaining, you really appreciate it. And it looks really good. I mean, I'm really stoked with it, and I can't wait to release this. I was hoping tonight would be the night that I'd release it, but it's coming really soon. It'll be this week, it's close, so stand by. And gosh, you don't need to link it to politics, but I appreciate the support. Visitors, apparently we keep updating record numbers of visitors coming to Japan, tourists coming here like crazy, lots of stuff going in Tokyo, and that's pretty much it, I think. So that's the show. It's been an hour. I'll play some music, but you know what, I don't have anything hooked up. I'm glad that you liked the pre-show. I'm going to make that a thing next week. I'm going to tidy it up some more. I hope you like it some more. And yeah, it's great seeing you. Look out for announcements about myChan TV. It's coming this week, where I'm going to ask all of you guys to come in and give me more and more feedback and so on. But more, I just want to show it off, and I want you guys to see it, because I've been working on this for a long time, and I think it looks really good. But just give it a few more days. Let me announce it properly. Hope that you have a very good week, and we'll see you very soon. And don't forget, the Hanami is April 7th in Yogi Park. Check out my channel, check out Phoenix 787's channel and Facebook, check out the event page for more information on that, and we'll see you there. And yes, glad that you liked the pre-show, and believe in yourself. Very glad that you liked the live stream, and see you all next week. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy the Hanami if you can, and see you soon. Peace. Ta-da. I should have like outro music, kind of a fade out. But I'll just kind of use my fingers to simulate fade out.